The Atlantis myth according to Plato's Timaeus. Welcome to the mysteries of the ancient world. Today, we are diving into one of the most enduring legends of all time, Atlantis. But forget aliens and crystal pyramids, we're going straight to the original source, Plato's dialogue, the Timaeus. What exactly did Plato say? What was Atlantis really like? Let's explore. The myth of Atlantis comes from two dialogues by Plato, Timaeus and Critias. In Timaeus, the story is first introduced by Critias, who claims it was passed down to him from his grandfather, and originally from the Athenian statesman Solon. According to Critias, Solon learned the tale during his travels in Egypt, from priests in the city of Say. These priests told him a story of a once great civilization, Atlantis, that existed 9,000 years before his time. According to the Egyptian priests, Atlantis was a powerful island empire, located beyond the Pillars of Heracles, which most scholars identify as the Strait of Gibraltar. The island was larger than Libya and Asia combined, vast, fertile, and rich in resources. Atlantis was ruled by powerful kings descended from the god Poseidon, who fell in love with a mortal woman named Cleito. He fathered 5 pairs of twin sons, dividing the island among them. The firstborn, Atlas, gave his name to both the island and the surrounding ocean. Plato describes a magnificent capital city. Concentric rings of land and water surrounded the central acropolis. The city was filled with temples, palaces, and harbors, all arranged with mathematical precision. Buildings were adorned with orichalcum, a legendary metal said to shine like fire. The Atlanteans had an advanced navy, and their influence extended over many parts of the known world. In time, the Atlanteans became corrupt and greedy, losing the divine nature Poseidon had once given them. They launched a campaign to conquer the Mediterranean, but were defeated by the ancient Athenians, who stood alone against their empire. Then, in a single day and night of misfortune, Atlantis was swallowed by the sea and vanished. This is how Plato describes it: in a single day and night of misfortune, the island of Atlantis disappeared into the depths of the sea. Timaeus 25d. So, was Atlantis real? Or was it a philosophical allegory? Some scholars believe Plato used Atlantis as a moral lesson, a warning against hubris and imperialism. Others argue there may have been a kernel of truth, perhaps inspired by real events like the destruction of Thera, Santorini. But whether myth or memory, Atlantis continues to captivate us, even thousands of years later. 1. Ancient sources. After Plato, Plato remains the only ancient source who gives a detailed account of Atlantis, but a few others reference it briefly. Aristotle, 4th century BCE, he who invented it also destroyed it. Strabo, 1st century BCE, the Greek geographer acknowledged Plato's account but remained skeptical. Plutarch, 1st century CE. 1. Referred to ancient Egyptian knowledge and the Isles of the Blessed, but did not expand on Atlantis directly. 2. Middle Ages and Renaissance. The story of Atlantis faded during the Middle Ages but returned with force during the Renaissance, as interest in classical texts revived. Francis Bacon, New Atlantis, 1627, a utopian novel presenting an ideal scientific society. 2. Not a direct continuation of Plato's Atlantis, but inspired by the myth. Athanasius Kircher, 1602–1680, a Jesuit scholar who created one of the first modern maps of Atlantis, placing it in the Atlantic Ocean. 2. His work combined myth, scripture, and pseudo-history. 3. 19th–20th century esoteric and historical theories. During the 19th century, Atlantis became a popular subject in alternative history and theosophy. Ignatius Donnelly, Atlantis, the Antediluvian World, 1882, claimed that Atlantis was a real prehistoric super-civilization. Suggested it influenced Egyptian, Greek, and Mesoamerican cultures. Hugely influential, though not based on archaeology. Helena Blavatsky and Theosophy. Blavatsky's secret doctrine claimed Atlantis was home to the fourth root race, a spiritually advanced civilization. 2. Introduced mystical ideas like Atlantean magic, telepathy, and energy crystals. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, claimed to receive visions of Atlantis while in trance. Said Atlantis had high technology powered by crystals and that it would resurface around 1968 to 1969. Pointed to the Bimini Road, underwater structures in the Bahamas, as evidence. 4. Atlantis in modern pop culture. Atlantis has become a symbol of lost knowledge and ancient power, appearing across film, games, books, and TV. 5. Scientific and archaeological theories. While mainstream scholars consider Atlantis a myth or allegory, Some theories attempt to link it with real places/events, possible inspirations for Atlantis. A massive volcanic eruption, 1600 BC, destroyed the Minoan civilization, often proposed as the real-life Atlantis. Underwater rock formations thought by some to be man-made structures. Satellite imaging and excavations suggest ancient settlements possibly linked to the Atlantis myth. A sunken land mass between Britain and Scandinavia, submerged 8,000 years ago. Atlantis has evolved from Plato's philosophical allegory into a global myth that spans archaeology, mysticism, science fiction, and conspiracy. Whether as a moral tale, a lost civilization, Atlantis remains a symbol of mystery and a mirror of our fascination with ancient greatness and downfall. What was life like in Atlantis? 1. The land of Atlantis. Atlantis was described as a vast, fertile island larger than Libya and Asia combined. It had rich natural resources, gold, silver, copper, and orichalcum, a mythical, gleaming metal. Fertile plains and mountains, ideal for agriculture and livestock. Abundant forests and rivers, providing food, timber, and fresh water. A mild climate, supporting year-round harvests. The land was shaped with mathematical precision, a reflection of order and divine harmony. 2. The capital city. Plato describes a stunning, well-planned city with concentric rings, 3 rings of water separated by 2 rings of land, perfectly circular. 2. At the center was the Acropolis, housing the Temple of Poseidon and Clito, the royal palace, and the sacred spring. Bridges and canals connected each ring, a masterpiece of ancient engineering. The walls were covered in orichalcum, glowing like fire at night. 5. The harbor could fit 1,200 ships, a symbol of Atlantis' naval power. 3. The people of Atlantis. The Atlanteans were initially a noble and virtuous people, descendants of the god Poseidon and the mortal woman Clito. 1. Physically strong and beautiful, living in harmony with nature. 2. Technologically advanced, with complex irrigation, architecture, and shipbuilding. 3. Culturally sophisticated, possibly with art, music, and ritual, though Plato focuses more on ethics than culture. 4. They were not immortal, but their divine heritage gave them wisdom, strength, and long life, at least at first. Over time, however, they became corrupt, obsessed with wealth, power, and luxury, and this moral decay led to their fall. 4. The government and kings of Atlantis. Atlantis was ruled by 10 kings, descendants of Poseidon's 10 sons, who each governed a portion of the island. 1. The firstborn, Atlas, was given the central region and supreme authority. 1. The island and ocean were named after him. 2. The kings followed a set of sacred laws, carved into a pillar of orichalcum inside the temple of Poseidon. 3. They held council every 5 or 6 years, making offerings, judging disputes, and reaffirming their unity. 4. The system was a mix of divine monarchy and oligarchy, with emphasis on balance and mutual respect among rulers. This ideal governance slowly deteriorated as greed and ambition crept in, causing their divine nature to fade. 5. Philosophy, morality, and decline. Plato presents Atlantis as a moral parable. 1. In the beginning, the Atlanteans lived by virtue, justice, and moderation. 2. They valued harmony with the divine, balance in power, and service to the common good. 3. However, as materialism and arrogance grew, they lost their spiritual compass. The divine portion in them began to fade away. Critias, 121a. Their attempt to conquer the known world was halted only by ancient Athens, which Plato portrays as the ideal society, brave, democratic, virtuous. Then, in divine punishment, Atlantis was destroyed in a single day and night of earthquakes and floods. Where could the real Atlantis have been? Plato described Atlantis as a large island beyond the Pillars of Heracles, which most scholars interpret as the modern-day Strait of Gibraltar. It was said to be larger than Libya and Asia combined, and to have sunk into the sea in a single day and night. Let's examine the most discussed potential locations, and the evidence, or speculation, behind each one. 1. Santorini, Thera, Greece. Where? In the southern Aegean Sea, modern-day Santorini, part of Greece. Why it fits? Around 1600 BC, a massive volcanic eruption destroyed much of the island of Thera. 2. It caused tsunamis that devastated nearby Minoan Crete, which was a highly advanced Bronze Age civilization. 3. Plato described a circular city with a volcanic-like structure, similar to the shape of Santorini's caldera. Evidence: volcanic ash layers found across the Mediterranean. Minoan ruins buried under ash, showing high technology and maritime power. Cultural decline following the eruption. Criticism: Plato places Atlantis 9,000 years before Solon, i.e., 11,600 BCE, while Thera erupted 3,600 years ago. Atlantis was said to be beyond the Pillars of Heracles, not within the Mediterranean. 2. Donana Marshes, Andalusia, Spain. Where? In southern Spain, near the mouth of the Guadalquivir River, close to the modern Donana National Park. Why it fits: the area was once a large lagoon that could have housed an ancient city. 2. Satellite imaging has revealed circular patterns beneath the marshes, matching Plato's descriptions. 3. Plato says Atlantis ruled parts of Libya and Europe, which would fit Iberia as a central location. Evidence: archaeological studies, for example by Richard Freund, have suggested structures buried beneath sediment. 2. Roman and Phoenician ruins exist in the broader region, indicating ancient habitation. Criticism: no definitive proof of an advanced civilization that matches Atlantis' grandeur. The circles might be natural geological formations or Roman fish farms. 3. Doggerland, North Sea. Where? Now submerged beneath the North Sea, between Britain and mainland Europe. Why it fits: around 8,000 years ago, this land was a thriving Mesolithic region with rivers, forests, and settlements. 2. It was slowly submerged due to rising sea levels and then dramatically affected by a tsunami, Starega slide. Evidence: flint tools, bones, and traces of human activity recovered from the sea floor. Paleogeographic reconstructions show a complex and habitable landscape. Criticism: no evidence of a centralized, technologically advanced civilization. The timeline is much later than Plato's 9,000 years before Solon. 4. Bimini Road, Bahamas. Where? In the Caribbean, near the island of Bimini, in the Bahamas. Why it fits: according to alternative theorists, underwater rock formations form rectangular blocks that resemble roads or walls. 2. Edgar Cayce, the 20th century mystic, predicted Atlantis would resurface here. Evidence: the Bimini Road does exist, it's a real underwater structure. Some claim it looks man-made, possibly an ancient harbor or platform. Criticism: most geologists agree it is a natural formation called beach rock. 2. No artifacts or cultural remains to indicate a lost civilization. 5. Antarctica. Where? Under the ice of the Antarctic continent. Why it fits: theoretically, if crustal displacement theories, Charles Hapgood, are considered, Antarctica may have once been temperate and habitable. 2. The idea inspired books and even conspiracy theories that suggest Atlantis is frozen beneath the ice. Evidence: none, this theory is purely speculative. No archaeological structures have ever been discovered under the ice cap. Criticism: no historical or geological support from mainstream science. Antarctica was already largely glaciated long before humans developed civilization. 6. The Azores, Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Where? A group of islands in the mid-Atlantic Ocean, about 1,500 kilometers west of Portugal. Why it fits: located in the Atlantic, where Plato said Atlantis was. 2. Sits on a tectonic fault line, potential for earthquakes and subsidence. 3. Some maps and legends suggest a sunken landmass in this region. Evidence: bathymetric scans show unusual underwater terrain, but nothing conclusive. Legends from Portuguese sailors refer to sunken lands. Criticism: no verified archaeological ruins. Geological timescales for island formation don't match Atlantis' timeframe. Despite centuries of searching, no physical evidence has definitively proven the existence of Atlantis. Most scholars view it as a moral or political allegory invented by Plato. A way to contrast the ideal society, ancient Athens, with one corrupted by power, Atlantis. Still, the mystery lives on, and continues to inspire exploration, theories, and imagination. Can Atlantis be linked to the Bermuda Triangle? What is the Bermuda Triangle? The Bermuda Triangle, also called the Devil's Triangle, is a loosely defined region in the North Atlantic Ocean, bounded by 1. Miami, Florida. 2. San Juan, Puerto Rico. 3. Bermuda. It's famous for reports of unexplained disappearances of ships, aircraft, and people, often described as involving electronic malfunctions, sudden storms, magnetic anomalies, vanishing crews. Is there a connection to Atlantis? Some alternative theorists and authors have suggested that Atlantis might be located beneath the Bermuda Triangle, claiming the unusual phenomena could be caused by Ancient Atlantean technology still active underground energy crystals or power stations left by the civilization, a still functioning electromagnetic grid or even dimensional portals related to Atlantean knowledge. These ideas are not supported by mainstream science, but have become popular in pseudoscience, fiction, and documentaries. Where did this theory come from? Charles Berlitz, The Bermuda Triangle, 1974. Berlitz was one of the first to popularize the idea that Atlantis and the Bermuda Triangle are connected. 2. He claimed Atlantis sank in the area now known as the Triangle and that its remnants still affect the environment. 3. He also referenced the Bimini Road, an underwater rock formation near the Bahamas, as potential evidence. Edgar Cayce, 1877–1945. The Sleeping Prophet claimed in trance readings that Atlantis was located in the Caribbean, especially near Bimini. A portion of Atlantis would resurface around 1968–69. Remnants of Atlantean crystal power technology could be causing anomalies in the triangle. Notably, in 1968, divers discovered the Bimini Road, a real underwater rock formation. Some claimed Cayce's prediction was fulfilled. What does science say? Geological analysis: the Bimini Road has been analyzed and is widely believed to be naturally occurring beach rock, shaped by erosion and sedimentation. 2. No artifacts, writing, or structures have been found to support the idea of a lost civilization. Myth meets mystery. The idea of Atlantis beneath the Bermuda Triangle is a fascinating fusion of two powerful legends: Atlantis, a symbol of a lost golden age, and the dangers of hubris. 2. The Bermuda Triangle, a modern maritime mystery filled with intrigue. While there's no scientific proof linking them, the theory continues to thrive in books, documentaries, and pop culture because it captures our imagination, the desire to believe that ancient wisdom, power, or civilizations still influence our world. Could Atlantis have existed on another planet or in another universe? 1. Atlantis on another planet, extraterrestrial hypothesis. This theory suggests that Atlantis wasn't part of Earth's past, but instead a highly advanced alien civilization that visited or colonized Earth. 2. Or that Atlantis itself was located on another planet and the story we have is a cultural memory or mythological echo of extraterrestrial contact. Popular variations: Atlanteans as ancient astronauts, similar to theories surrounding the Anunnaki or ancient Egypt. 2. Atlantis as a lost colony from a more advanced planet or star system, for example, Sirius, Orion, Pleiades. 3. Their technology was so advanced it appeared magical: energy crystals, gravity control, teleportation, etc. Pop culture and influences. 1. Stargate series depicts Atlantis as an alien city ship that traveled to Earth and later to another galaxy. 2. Theosophical and New Age thought often links Atlantis to extraterrestrial wisdom or starseed souls. 3. Science fiction novels describe Atlantis as a remnant of interstellar civilizations. 2. Atlantis in another dimension or universe, multiverse hypothesis. Another theory suggests Atlantis may exist, or have existed, in a parallel universe or alternate dimension, multiverse possibility. 1. In quantum theory, some interpretations propose a multiverse, infinite or parallel versions of reality. 2. Atlantis could have existed in another timeline or another version of Earth, where history unfolded differently. Interdimensional theories. 1. Some metaphysical schools propose Atlantis was part of a higher dimensional Earth, with Atlanteans existing in the fourth or fifth dimension. 2. As humanity descended into denser physical reality, the memory of Atlantis was lost, or the civilization became invisible to 3D perception. Related concepts: Akashic records. Some claim to have accessed visions of Atlantis through spiritual or energetic means. Channelers and mystics have described Atlantis as a place existing outside linear time. Why these theories persist? These ideas tap into deep psychological and philosophical archetypes: the longing for a lost utopia, the idea that humanity once had, or could regain, divine wisdom. 3. The possibility that we are not alone in the universe, and that human history is deeper than we know. Skeptical viewpoint. From a scientific standpoint, there is no physical or historical evidence that Atlantis was extraterrestrial or interdimensional. These ideas are speculative, symbolic, or based on subjective experiences, like dreams, channeling, or myths. However, they serve a purpose in storytelling, spiritual exploration, and pushing the boundaries of human imagination. In the end, whether Atlantis was an ancient Earth civilization, a lost colony of aliens, or a parallel reality utopia, it continues to captivate us, because it reflects our desire to understand where we came from, and what we might become. Could survivors of Atlantis, corrupted by reptilian influence, be behind today's global elites? The theory at a glance. Some fringe theories suggest that, after the destruction of Atlantis, some Atlanteans survived and scattered across the world. But these were not the enlightened beings of the early Atlantis, they were the morally corrupted elite, possibly influenced, or even infiltrated, by non-human entities, such as reptilian beings. These survivors may have gone on to create secret societies, bloodlines, and power structures that evolved into what some call the modern shadow elite or global control system. The reptilian connection. The concept of reptilian beings comes mostly from 1. David Icke, a British author and speaker who claims that shape-shifting reptilian entities, from another dimension or planet, have infiltrated human power structures. 2. He believes these beings feed off fear, manipulate global events, and control royal bloodlines, politicians, and financial systems. 3. Some versions of this theory connect Atlantis as a turning point, where these entities first corrupted human rulers and began manipulating our timeline. Atlantean bloodlines? According to some esoteric or conspiracy traditions, the Atlantean survivors formed priest-kings in early civilizations like Egypt, Sumer, and Mesoamerica. 2. Their descendants allegedly carried divine or genetically modified traits, intelligence, charisma, and psychic powers. 3. Over centuries, they may have intermarried and consolidated power, forming the basis of the elite ruling classes. 4. Some believe these bloodlines still operate through secret societies, for example Illuminati, Freemasons, etc., or international institutions. Modern global government, a legacy of Atlantis? In this theory, today's global elite, banking dynasties, political influencers, tech overlords, are the spiritual or literal heirs of corrupted Atlanteans. Their mission? Control humanity through media manipulation, economic systems, surveillance and digital identity, artificial intelligence and transhumanism. Some versions claim they want to recreate Atlantis in a technological form, a new Atlantis, or impose a global technocracy based on control, not enlightenment. Symbolism and patterns often cited. 1. Pyramids on different continents linked to Atlantean influence. 2. Obsession with sacred geometry, sun worship, and serpent symbols in elite institutions. 3. Use of Atlantean imagery in secret societies, architecture, and pop culture. 4. The concept of a golden age that fell due to hubris, repeated in many ancient myths. Skepticism and critical view. From a rational standpoint, there is no physical or historical evidence that Atlantean survivors influenced modern governments. However, these ideas continue to thrive because they resonate psychologically with themes of 1. Hidden knowledge. 2. Power and corruption. 3. The fall of great civilizations. 4. The fear that those in charge do not have our best interests at heart. Myth, metaphor, or master plan? While there's no proof, the theory provides a powerful narrative that the fall of Atlantis wasn't the end, but the beginning of a long, hidden war between humanity's potential for enlightenment and forces of control, deception, and fear. Whether you see this as literal history, esoteric allegory, or modern myth, the story continues to capture minds seeking answers to the darkness of our times. Can we reach the level of Atlantean consciousness again? Could humanity ever rise again to the level of wisdom, technology, and spiritual clarity that the original Atlanteans were said to possess? Could we achieve it without the guidance of gods, or were the gods always part of us to begin with? Yes, we can rise again if the legend of Atlantis teaches us anything. It's this: to return to that state, to ascend once more, gods will be on our side once again. But, for this to happen, we must remember who we are. Through inner awakening, truth-seeking, collective cooperation, and a deep respect for life, nature, and universal law, we can rebuild not just a civilization, but a consciousness that is worthy of Atlantis, and beyond. Without the gods, or with them within us? Maybe we don't need Poseidon to return. Maybe the gods never left. Maybe they were never external beings, but rather aspects of our higher selves, waiting to be remembered. Or perhaps, the gods are watching, guiding from behind the veil. This time, they will not interfere directly, but they will whisper, inspire, nudge. This time, we must choose to evolve, not out of fear of punishment, but from love, clarity, and purpose. The Golden Age is not lost, it awaits. The Golden Age isn't behind us, it's ahead of us, waiting to be earned, not inherited. And this time, 1. Let no force corrupt us. 2. Let no shadow rule us. 3. Let no wisdom be hidden. Let us become the guardians of what we once lost, and this time, keep it eternal.